20 years ago, 25% of vehicles in the US had a manual transmission. Today, that number is down to just 3% according to a study done by the EPA. I'd like to share with you and convince you why manual transmission should still be an option sought after by people in the US over the automatic. Now, in my years as a driver, I've had 9 vehicles, and those 9 vehicles all have one thing in common: a manual transmission. The manual transmission is usually cheaper, gives you better fuel efficiency, and allows the driver to have better control over the car. So first, we're going to talk about how a manual transmission is cheaper, and second, we'll go into driver control. Let's get started. A manual transmission is a much cheaper option than its reciprocal, the automatic. The automatic is usually seen as a more premium option when people buy a car, but not always the case. When looking for a new Ford Mustang on Ford's website, the automatic is a $1,500 add-on. It's kind of expensive. Now, I called a local Dodge dealership, and the automatic in a 2019 Challenger is $3,500 to replace, versus the manual is $2,800. These are both pretty expensive, but the automatic, these prices don't even include labor, which with the automatic is much more. This can also be seen if you're out on the open road with your family. Say a couple years ago, like I was, and the automatic went out in our car. Stuck there for 3 days, and $2,800 later, oh man, that was expensive. Finally able to get it replaced. At least we got some good wings because we were in Buffalo. But automatics just tend to be more expensive. But you can also see whenever driving, a manual gives you better fuel efficiency. A Consumer Reports article states that manuals give you between 2 and 5 miles per gallon more. This might not seem like a lot, but in vehicles like my truck, that's the difference between 250 miles and 330. That 80-mile difference adds up, especially when you're commuting. Now, you can also get better control with a manual. You tend to stay a little bit more safe instead of spending time on your phone. Now, if you're driving around, you get a lot of crazy people on the road. Guarantee if you see someone on their phone, they're most likely driving an automatic. People tend to get a little bit bored, they're only using one hand, if not any. With a manual, you've got one hand on the steering wheel and one on the stick shift. There's no room to put your phone anywhere, so that keeps you safe in that aspect. Also, when it comes to speeding. Now, when you're driving a manual, you want to know your gears. You know what gear you're in. And if you say you're in 3rd or 4th gear, each gear can only go a specific speed. And so if you stay in this gear, you can't go any faster without hurting anything. So those of us who tend to speed a little bit, be honest, if I keep it in 4th gear, I'm not going to go much faster than, say, 45 miles an hour in my truck. Now, this can also be seen by Jason Kissinger, a driving instructor, who says you're definitely more involved in the process of driving and making that vehicle go forward than just hitting the gas pedal. With a vehicle with a manual transmission, you're much more involved, and instead of just letting the car do its thing. Now, when you're driving a truck, you tend to help people move a lot. It's just par for the course. And driving a manual truck, in this instance, allows you to keep your speed on the road. If you've got all that extra weight in the back, you don't want to be slowing down, holding up traffic. So I'm able to downshift, keep my speed going up the hill, and keep things going, not slow things down. So owning and driving a car with a manual transmission has more perks than people give it credit for. So opt in for the manual the next time you're looking for one. In conclusion, a manual transmission still has its advantages on today's open roads. Although there are less of them, they're still out there. They have quite a few options as well if you can find them. The next time you're looking for a vehicle, spring for that manual transmission. They give you better fuel efficiency, they're cheaper in the long run, and give the driver more control. Being able to tell your car exactly where you want it to go is a very freeing feeling that I think every driver should experience.